Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Racha HaKodash. I want to send double honor to the elders, apostles, and bishops at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and safety is to the hopeful elect document out there doing this work. Much love to the scattered elect and to the few sincere women that subscribe to the true doctrine. This is the brother you call him off with the Great Millstone Camp, the branch out here in Omaha, Nebraska. Coming back with another lesson, Lord willing, to feed and to edify the lost sheep of the nation of Israel through the Holy Spirit, Racha HaKodash. And the Israelites consist of the so-called Negroes, the so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans by the seed of your father, no matter what you may look like. And I want to get into this article here, which I just took a still screenshot of it. I'm going to read it, and of course, I'm going to post the link in the description. All right, so as it reads, Trump proposes revoking licenses of critical American TV networks. Okay, and we're seeing as of recent, which it references it in here, with the Jimmy Kimmel show, right? The late night show has, he allegedly made some derogatory terms towards, Mr. Utah, in that whole situation. And, they shut it down, which, when I listened to it, it wasn't that bad, but, as far as derogatory is concerned, but, just getting to the point of it, Esau Edom is about to shut down this freedom of speech. Okay, it's a matter of time before they shut this down. Now, here it is. The same individual, Mr. Utah, he, at first I didn't know who the guy was, and I went and watched some of his videos and seen what his talking points were, where some of the points that he was making was on point, but he was very, not only was he pro-Trump, but he's made some derogatory terms, one specifically that I could vividly remember is towards, George Floyd, which at the end of the day, George Floyd was a two-third. He was not a man of the Lord. But the way that, Mr. Utah spoke about him was he would essentially let that officer who had his knee on George Floyd's neck, he would have let him go because that's not what took him out. Okay, saying that he had health issues, allegedly this man was an addict, so he was already dying in so many words. But, and if you know this, I'm just, speaking as a man, if you're that officer, and you have knowledge that this man can't breathe, he clearly is not in his right state of mind, then why would you continue to, proceed with that act of putting your knee on his neck? Okay. But at the end of the day, no man perished being innocent, but just the way that this man went about it, So I want to get into this, because things like this is going to shut down free speech. You're not going to be able to say anything. People been losing their jobs behind derogatory terms towards the assassination. Okay, people have been receiving ridicule behind saying certain things. And at the end of the day, if this is the land of the free, as they say, the land of the free, home of the brave, and that First Amendment is supposed to protect you from being penalized for saying what you want to say. Why is this such a problem? Okay, because ultimately Esau Edom is trying to shut down all rhetoric that all terms that speak against him. Okay, so let's get into this. This shouldn't be very long, but we Lord willing, this is edifying. So this is from RT. All right, this is from RT. It says Trump proposes revoking licenses of critical American TV networks, and this is dated as of September 19, 2025, which is today. All right, it says the U.S. president has claimed that the television networks only give him a bad publicity. U.S. President Donald Trump has floated the idea of maybe revoking the broadcast licenses of American television networks that provide negative coverage on him. The suggestion came a day after the ABC indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel's late night show following what is called, quote unquote, offensive and insensitive comments made by the comedian about the assassination of conservative activist C. Kirk. Okay, so this is, it's not really so much about Trump, because people have been talking shit about Trump for years, man. Why he's been a president even before he was a president, and they've never tried to regulate who says what. I've listened to comedians, that speak against this dude, calling him stupid, calling him a liar, calling him Mr. Peach, calling him all type of terms, which I'm sure that he knows about this, and he never shut anything down. Okay, so it just took this situation, which I believe is a psychological operation, to bring in some type of law to ban free speech. Okay, this is all that this is, man. Okay, it has nothing to do with somebody saying something offensive or insensitive about Donald Trump, man. All right, and this is where the famine of the word is going to come in. Essentially, it's just a matter of time, because here it is. The men of the Lord, the Hebrew Israelites, as it says in the book of 1 Thessalonians. Let's get this, where we've been revealing Esau Edom for who he is, bringing out information, and this is why we have to already have to censor our words as we speak in these videos. All right, when we go out on the highways and the hedges, we have to speak in code. Okay, just so the algorithm of Esau doesn't pick up on it and label it offensive or label it something derogatory or something that's considered hate speech. Right? This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed." Who is that wicked? That wicked is Esau Edom. All right, the wicked. Okay, it says, "Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." And who is the spirit of the mouth of the Lord? The holy prophets. Okay, the men that are digging into their history, and they're finding out Esau's history and going into the things that he has plastered all over the internet concerning the Hebrew Israelites, concerning certain captivities where he was in rulership. How he dealt with Jake. Also, there's certain books out there that go into the brutal history of Esau Edom, and shows and you have the men of the Lord that are able to read these books and line that spirit up with who's ruling today, that are doing the same things. Okay, so this is why Esau Edom essentially wants to shut all talking points down. Okay, especially if it speaks against him. It says, "And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming," which is that thermonuclear destruction that's coming for Babylon. Okay, that brightness of his coming is ultimately going to be when this place is destroyed by Russia, by China, by Iran, possibly even Turkey, and certain other foes of America. Okay, because it says that in the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter and the 51st chapter, where it speaks about all these nations shooting arrows, which are the missiles, that they're going to shoot their arrows upon Babylon. Okay, which is America. Babylon, going back to the Hebrew word babal, meaning confusion. Okay, and America is a great ball of confusion. All right, so this is we're just, the time is ticking for America, man. The time is ticking, and guess what? We are. Hey, it says we are the watchmen upon the tower, and we're watching that clock, man. Okay, we're watching that clock of prophecy. This is how time is measured, by prophecy. All right, and that's according to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter and the 1st verse, and also the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4 and verse 37. But let's get back into this article. get another precept or two, and then call that a wrap. All right, so getting back into the article, says Kimmel claimed on his program that Trump and his supporters were trying to score political points, quote unquote, over C. Kirk's killing, and compared the president's reaction to his death to how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish. It says Trump, who was returning from the UK abroad Air Force One on Thursday, told journalists that TV networks, quote unquote, give me only bad publicity or press. And that's because they see Trump for who he is. Ultimately, Trump is an unfit ruler, okay, as far as the health and wealth of Americans go, as they continue to send millions and billions of dollars over there to Israel, okay, funding them in this proxy war with Russia, okay. But here it is, the homelessness in this place is at an all-time high, and then you persecute the homeless. The elder brother sent something through here, the chat the other day. I believe that was in, I had to double check. I believe it was in Minneapolis, somewhere in Minneapolis, where you had a, one of those tenant cities, where, you have, homeless people at, and like eight homeless people were shot. So, not only are you the catalyst to why they're on the streets because of your unfair laws, you gotta meet this certain standard. You gotta go to school for 4 years. You gotta have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. You gotta meet all these quotas in order just to make a decent living. And here it is, they may not have that fair shake and getting that decent living. Even though some of the homeless are those that were amongst your army, man. All right, that wouldn't fought for this place, and here it is, they don't have nowhere to stay, and you attacking these homeless people. Okay, so this place here, man, that's confusion and that's wickedness. All right. So yeah, so we see how you run in this place, and the whole world sees it. Okay. It says, and this is quote unquote, it says, they are getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away, he said. However, the president noted that it would be up to Federal Communications Commission Chairman Brendan Carr to rule whether to keep the networks on air or not. So, any talking points that's going against them or that they deem to be offensive, they're going to get rid of it. Okay? They're going to get rid of you. They're going to possibly can blackball some of these entertainers, silence some of these voices, that's not speaking to their liking. Okay? And you may never hear from these individuals again. And this is why I truly believe that this is nothing but a catalyst to slow down the word as well, because we speak against the wickedness of this kingdom. Okay, and Esau, he's going through desperate measures, man, to try to shut down what people are saying. But let's continue on. Not too much more left in this article. It says, so far the FCC head has been doing, quote unquote, a great job, according to Trump. Just hours before ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel's Live, Carr told podcaster Benny Johnson that these companies can find ways to take action on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead, meaning they're going to try to persecute him. Not persecute him. They're going to try to, they're going to try to move further in with this offense. He may get some time. He may be banned from television forever. He may get blackballed. They may start bringing out some type of information on him to make him look bad. Okay? He says he warned that we can do this the easy way or the hard way. So that's, they not playing, man. All right? Trump and the, what's this guy's name again? Benny Johnson and Brendan Carr, they're not playing, man. They're going to push to the full extent of the law, as according to this. Either way, he's gonna face some type of disciplinary action. says Trump welcomed the move by ABC in a post on his Truth Social platform on Wednesday, suggesting that NBC's late night host Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers should also be canceled. Trump stressed that the late night shows, quote unquote, have not had a conservative on in years or something. Somebody said, but when you go back and take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. So, there's no free speech, man. You can cancel free speech. All right? I want to get this precept here. This is what we're looking for, because we know once the men of the Lord are taken off of the streets, we know that's the we're living in the very last seconds of this kingdom. Okay, we're living in because this is why it says it's in Amos 8 and verse 11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of the hearing of the words of the Lord Yahweh." Okay, which there will actually be true famines. All right, but this is specifically speaking about a famine of the word. Okay, and I just want to get the word famine real quick. The word famine is ra'ib, which says famine, hunger, famine, and land, nation of Yahweh's word, hunger of individuals. Right, because what does it say? I believe it's Mark 4 and 4. It says, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord." And that word of the Lord is being spoken of by the prophets. But when the prophets ain't out there to blow that trumpet no more, all right, or when they start shutting down certain of these social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, X, what's another one? Rumble, Odyssey. When they start shutting these things down, there's where it says where there's no vision is, the people perish. The Most High has had the men of the Lord out here teaching His word and pushing forth these prophecies for 40 plus years. Starting with the elder apostles to on down. Even before that, really, with the elder Abba Bivens, man. Okay, and the men that he taught. So it's really since like the 1970, which is what, 30, almost 50 years, man. All right. So this word has been out there for long enough, and it has not been acknowledged. So when that word is gone, then it says this, "And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh, and shall not find it." What y'all say that name was again? What was that? What was that prophecy in Revelation 13 y'all was talking about? Oh man, what was and the prophecy ain't gonna be out there no more. And this is a warning unto those of us who teach too, man. Okay, those of us who teach, and to take heed unto what the Spirit is allowing us to understand and really walk with it. Okay, if we know to do better, if we know to adhere to these prophecies, if we believe that the words of the Lord is faithful and true, then we should act like it. Okay, all right. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to get into this article, give my 2 cents, and I will leave this in the description box, so I can go and read it for themselves, But with that being said, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops at Great Millstone. Peace, love, and safety is to the elect. Shalom.